Session. This is episode 81, and we continue in this mini-series between episode 80 and 89, which is 10 episodes, by the way, which we will master some track. Those tracks have been created in the previous episodes of the show, so if you like the track, you can go back. This one, there's 2 episodes. I can't even recall, actually. It will be written in the description below. So there's an episode which we arrange and mix the track, and there's a first episode which actually composed a really basic 16 bars that we actually made this track with. So in this third step of the production process, we're gonna master the track. I got the mastering chain set up here. The track is 124 BPM. It's a progressive house, a bit of like a funky, groovy feel with some atmospherics and stuff. It's a very interesting track. It's gonna be a lot of fun to master, and I will explain to you guys the process. And of course, once I'm done with this, I will put the project online on wemakedancemusic.com as a mastering project that you can actually insert your own track and use the mastering chain to master it. It's gonna be only $5, of course. And also, of course, if you didn't know, on our site wemakedancemusic.com we have 5,000 DAW templates. It's more 5,600 now, but we have DAW templates to do everything from like all the genres of music, complete songs. We're loaded with stuff right now. Everybody's on curfew, so everybody's uploading a lot. So let's see the positive in those moments, and let's get to master the track. So I did the first episode and I actually used the speakers, which was a mistake because there was some feedback, because by the time the sound go out the speaker back into the mic and re-record and stuff, there's a delay and I couldn't sync it. I tried, so I will trust my trustful headphones that I use for those 9 years that I use only like the ATH-M50. So I will do this. I trust the chain that I use too. I use it for so many years. It took me really, honestly, guys, 15 years to build this chain, and I'm not exaggerating. I've been using Waves plugin for a long time, and I studied those. I wanted to understand, and after all this time, I have this chain, which include many different plugins. So first, we're gonna have a listen to the track. Not all, but just a little bit, so you get a feel of it. A bit plucky, but then it turned into, so this track is about arrangement. There's a lot of the track kind of stayed the same, the groove stayed the same, but it's moving in a lot. There's automation in the low end. It's pushing, pulling constantly. You can hear now the bass is coming back up. Gonna move on a bit further. I think it's rising a lot here. So that's the track. We're gonna have a chance to listen to it a little bit more at the end. Once I'm gonna be done, I'm gonna let it play in almost in its entirety. First plugin that I use when I do my mastering, I use this Renaissance EQ as a summing plugin. So what I do is I go in the loudest part of the track, do the auto gain here. So I put it here. So if I'm still clipping, that means that there's some space. So I want to raise the volume as much as I can, so I'm able to get the most out of it. And I have a very, very small low end cut here. If I have some major thing to do in the track, which is not the case because it is my track, of course, that I mix, that I know, then I would do some first phase of equalization here into the track. If you master track for other people, or you listen to your track and like to have more highs, you want to do changes, this is a very good EQ to do so. It's really subtle. It doesn't really affect the frequency so much. It's more like a small boost. Then going straight up into this VEQ4. Why am I using another EQ, you're gonna ask? Is because this simulates the analog circuitry of very old EQs, and it had somehow some distortion, and it works. It just, for me, this is it. That's all that I need is this, and of course I do another gain staging here. If I can raise the volume a little bit, boost the low end a very small amount, but just a tiny bit to give it a little bit more presence. That's it. Of course, I check again. If I can boost it, I do. If I'm clipping, see now it's clipping like a very small amount, let's be honest. But I want everything to be clean in the chain, so I'm gonna start with the track again. And then I have a linear EQ here, which I will again not use for the purpose of this session, but if I would need to do some very precise equalization, this is a really good place. Yeah, and that's it. So you see the stereo, you see you can really do changes. Let's see that I like some more mid-lows here. Give more presence to the track a little bit, which personally I do only equalizing, or if you want some bit of more brightness, let's put some brightness just for fun, just for the sake of adding a little bit of brightness above 8500K. Tiny bit with, without. This is a very good EQ. Then we're going into a limiter. So this first limiter is just to take the top peak off in case you have some top peaks. See, most of the track is clean, but in the part where we will have some peaks, it will take them off. So we're gonna be able to have a better compression through the track, because limiting and compression is not exactly the same thing. Compression work in a way, limiting work in a completely different way. So this take off the peak, minus 2 dB of reduction, not so much, it's barely has some attenuation in this part, so you know. And then we're going into a LINMB. Oh, first we're gonna check here, make sure we're not clipping. We're going into a LINMB. Okay, this first LINMB, because we're actually gonna use two, is gonna gently, but with a really open way to do the multiband compression. So what this plugin does is it correlate the bands, so it's never only affecting one thing. So to me, make everything super clean and seamless. So with, without. And then of course we're gonna do again some gain staging. Make sure that we're not clipping anywhere. So far, so good. I'm gonna go back to the bass part. I'm gonna pick up a part where the bass is coming in strong. I think here. This is a bit much for me, so I don't want to go heavy. I never use one plugin to do a lot of effect. I use every plugin smoothly to do a little bit. Like Robert Babbitt's, I've seen a tutorial about this guy who's doing the same. It's very much the same with like just a little bit of a compressor, just a little bit of a limiter, just a little bit, slowly round up the track, make the best out of it. Then after this LINMB where we process the multiband, we're gonna add some character with this API 2500. I personally like what this compressor does to the low end. It really make the punch thick. It just had that presence that's just amazing. So I'm gonna take this part here, which is quite full. And again, we're gonna look at our summing, where we at sound-wise. So we're still at -2. So we're not really peaking until the very end of this stage, which would be the L316. With the L316, we will finish the maximizing. See here, I got another 2 dB of reduction. Slowly getting into. I'm still at, you know, -15 LUFS. Still lots of room to master for iTunes and Spotify. iTunes is more demanding, Spotify a bit less. And then here I have a G channel that I use only if needed. So what I've done is I boost a little bit of the top end because it's got a nice little crisp like top end. And the low end, which I'm gonna say in every episode, it just had some presence to the low end without boosting the EQ. It is an EQ, but it's like it's a very different way to equalize. So we're gonna make sure, again, input and output, no clipping. Everything is clean through the chain. It's clean again from here. Track sound, very good. We're gonna continue with a center. So this center, I'd like to say that it gives the illusion of loudness. So I'm gonna reduce my master a little bit here because it's a bit loud. So what I mean by the illusion of loudness, I mean that it spread the sound of the stereo field, it make it more present. It seemed to be louder, but it is not louder. I had some clipping here before that because of that, so it seemed to be cleared out. So like I said, this, and then right after some saturation and a compressor would expand the sound a lot, and then this compressor is going to be an SSL comp, and I will just glue it together with a compressor. So I just go expand, and then just tighten it. So this is my process. Like I said, this is my mastering chain. This is the way I do mastering. I get a lot of satisfied customers, and I sold of this original mastering chain on We Make Dance Music. I think I'm at 800 copies sold, including actually very, very experienced producers that have labels that use this mastering chain to master their content for the label. So pretty proud of it. This is nice. Okay, I think we have a little bit of a clipping here, so I'll go and I'll reduce the input a little bit. Again, to make sure there's absolutely no clipping. Even knowing that in a chain like this, we can allow the plugins to clip like probably 10 dB without any artifacts or distortion, but you know, we don't want to do that. We want to stay correct just in case. So now we're gonna go with a tape saturator. Like I said, I do not always use it, so we're gonna test it. If it works, we're gonna use it. If not, we're not gonna use it. So again, this is the little clicking is because of the DAW inserting the plugin. So this worked very well. Again, like the center, like the G channel that we use, this just adds some character to the track. It had like a very minimal amount of distortion. It had a certain presence. It made just the sound thicker, you know. It just make it, I would say, more interesting to listen to, or just like everything is a bit more in your face. And then we put on like a G channel, of course. Again, I like this compressor on the kick. Really bring a nice presence to the music, glue everything together. We need a little bit more in this case. I would say about 2 dB of compression maximum. This is an analog, so I cannot really see. So I'm going with the feel. Without. With. Oh yeah. And then after that, we're going with another LINMB. So after we compress all of this, then we're gonna really equalize everything. When I said noise and character, you can see here the noise level is there. I mean, there is some of those plugins that are actually intentionally creating some noise, which is fine because noise is also good. So we put an upto mastering to complete this just before the final stage of maximization. So this is to tighten everything. So this is necessary, maybe not. To me, I like to have everything very tight and like in a very, I wouldn't say narrow bandwidth because the dynamic is still there, but it's contained. It feels like a well done sandwich. So let's listen. We already have a good sound stick. I will not alter the sound of the master track for you guys so you can really hear the results step by step. The only thing that I will do is I will put my voice over. I mean, I will sidechain my voice so when I speak you can hear it. Then let's turn on this baby. So the level of compression and maximizing of this is very, very minimal. You can see here, I might be doing like a dB and a half, but the character, so without, width, without, width again. We're gonna start again, width. At minus 13 dB here, so we have again some room to play with. So you can see this one how open and quick does it affect, while this one is slow. It just take it and it just make it nice and chuggy. Oh, make sure we're not clipping again. Okay, so we finished this mastering session, or this part of the mastering session here with the beast, the legendary L316, which is used everywhere. Very important not to abuse this tool. The first part that would be affected negatively if you overdo maximizing is the low end. The low end would be like, it will lose all of its energy, you know, sadly, and you don't want that because we're doing dance music. So this is the low end. This is very, very important. So how to use this plugin? Simply turn it on, put on this arrow here, and then when it starts sounding like crap, you're too far, like this, you're way too far. So I would say we want to get, if we look at the LUFS here, we want to get about 5. I would go probably 4 dB of maximizing at the most. So at the highest peak I would get 4 dB. Most of the time I will not touch, or barely. So that's it, guys. After this one, with this loudness, I mean, it is loud, I have to lower my headphones. So we're again, we could do a tiny bit more, just to achieve minus 10 LUFS at the highest point, at the highest peaks. Again, see, it's not affecting so much. So here, I'm touching it, but not so much. So this is the preferred loudness, the LUFS for iTunes right now. That's what they want. They don't want all the music to be boosted because they know people listen to it in their headphones and it's bad, it's too loud, it just doesn't have dynamics. It's not a good idea. So this is a little bit more technical with maximizing, while the rest is more feeling and instinctive. You still need some loudness, because if you don't have this loudness, you're not going to compare to other tracks, and people listen to your music compared to another track, and then you will not shine, you know. So this is sadly necessary. I personally think that the way this mastering chain is, we do not damage, but we only improve the audio. So let's have a listen. At the same time we're having a listen, we're gonna look at our plugins to see how hard they are working. Make sure we're not clipping in any parts of the track. I would like to have a gigantic screen to be able to put all of them there, but you know, you can see what's happening now. Don't need to check because it won't clip, because it cannot clip. This again, the limiters are good. This too. aware that some mastering engineer do master the breakdown separately to the track. I think this is ridiculous, but you know, some people do things they think appropriate. If they think it's appropriate to work for them, great. Personally, I like to have a continuous feel, and I would not master a different part with the different settings. It would be just vain. So yeah, so you know, so I know some people do that. Alright guys, so we listened to the track, it's clean, everything is done. This is episode 81 of EDM Sessions. Be ready for some more mastering sessions. The next one I will do a trance track, which is going to be a little bit different than this one because it's trance, it's faster, more punchy. We're going to try to really make the best out of this genre of music with our mastering chain again. And if you're still watching, you just earn yourself half price off on our site, wemakedancemusic.com. Just enter my name, Mikas, M-I-K-A-S. And while you're at it and you're typing my name, you might go to Spotify or Beatport and type my name too. I got a lot of music out for the last 17 years that I released music, the last 22 that I produced. So guys, check it out. And of course, the most important thing, as always,